Have you started?
Oh, yeah, it just started. Oh, there we go. Go straight into it. Episode 1, guys, of Beyond the Posing. How's it going, guys? Okay, so Emma, let's go straight into it. Let's not delve around. Let's not sugarcoat it.
Yes.
Football division got started on the weekend.
It sure did.
Before we go into the videos, before we dissect some of the poses that we've seen, I know a lot of people had a lot to say. Before we go into it, what was your thoughts from what you've seen so far?
Obviously, we've got to take into consideration it is the first show ever of Fit Model, and I think it was a real mixed bag. I think possibly the placements that were awarded, people were probably slightly surprised at, because the girls were a lot smaller in size and also not massively conditioned. For me, there was more aesthetically pleasing physiques on stage, but clearly it's given us a very clear indication of what the judges want to see. So it was a mixed bag. It was interesting, but I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, but just to context, the number of competitors, the volume was very small. So if we look at the 4 height classes they had on the day, A to D, I believe there was only 3 in A, 3 in B, 4 in C, and only 1 in D. So you're only working with a small pool of 11 competitors. And of course, there's a lot of talk about, oh God, this is wrong, how we're doing this. Once again, you've only got a pool of 11 competitors to base off, taking away the novice, the masters, the junior categories. And if we look how bikini men's physique started, they didn't start with massive lineups. They started with 3 or 4 competitors.
Yeah, so exactly. And I think with that, taking that into consideration as well, when it's such a small number of people and you've got various different physiques, you can only place what comes as close as possible to the criteria. So I don't think this is like the poster girl of what we want to see on Fit Model, the winner. But I think they've just been they're working as close to the criteria as possible, given what was presented on stage.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. We now know that the next show really for Fit Model is going to be next month in Japan. The European shows don't really start until March, and there's always been the conversation of like, oh, is bikini look different in Europe versus America? Well, we're going to see very much in Fit Model how similar it is versus other continents. But look, that's less about the physiques and what we've seen. What we want to talk about is the posing, because this is something that is very different to maybe what competitors are used to on the bikini side. And we're going to try and break this down a little bit more. So the person I want to go to first, I'm going to bring up the winner, which is Angie. Now, what I'll do is I'm going to bring the video up, and I'll tell you what, let's play through. I will kind of introduce Angie a bit more about what we know about her. I'll let you check this out. So Angie, for people who need to know, she was the class winner and also won the overall. Bit of context about her: she has competed in bikini before. I believe her first ever show was in 2021. Now, of course, this is the debut of the Fit Model division. Mother of 4 children, which once again, this shows how attainable, how accessible the class is. That it's open to everybody. Anybody can really choose to compete in Fit Model division, as we can see with the physique. But posing wise, we haven't got much to work on because of how quick it is. So I'm interested on your perspective, Emma, of how you break this down.
Yeah, obviously we've had it mentioned that they don't want to see a lot of time firstly spent in the transitions, which obviously makes it a very fast transition from front to back. I think if you're not an accomplished poser, that this can then make the transitions look quite quick and rushed. So I think there just needs to be some time spent just really getting into those poses as perfectly as possible. Because for me, she's just not finishing off her transitions. One thing I will say is, and this isn't in relation to Angie, but we did see a variation of front poses from the other competitors as well. Some of them were sitting in the what we would call the wellness pose, or in bikini, the transitional pose, which stipulated in the rules. It's not what the judges want to see. So firstly, Obviously, Angie's presenting the correct front pose. But yeah, it's quick. I know they want it really quick. They've already put it out there that it's got to be executed with under 10 seconds, which is really fast. And also it has been fed back to me that backstage, any of the organization helpers, they were saying, don't hold your transitions, move really quickly through them. They don't want to see you in transitions, just get front to back. But for me, that takes away the essence of the sport and the craft. Like, we want to see you hit a transition. We want to see that flow. We want to see those moments. And I think we can do this whilst not coming across too close to the bikini division as well.
So I'm looking at some of these poses here then. So I'm going to pause the front pose. We'll just break down the two poses, front and back. Yeah. So I'm just going to pause this here.
Yeah.
Overall, as I know we've seen the images of Ashley Colwasser on the front pose they're looking for. So if we break the front pose down, is this what we're looking for on a fitball perspective from what we've seen from the Ashley Colwasser 2015 videos that they've used previously to kind of showcase this is what we're looking for Fit Model?
Yes, I think pose wise, yes, this is what we want to be executing. So I think she's nailed this for me. It's a nice front pose, and it's what they have also already showcased with Ashley. So for me, this is in line. Would I add some tweaks and some corrections to it? Most definitely. But overall, it's what the judges want to see in this front pose.
What kind of tweaks would you change then?
So I think I would just have her sitting into the back hip a little bit more. I think that might just give her a little bit more pop through the glute. I do think she was definitely on, for me, she was a little bit under what we would maybe like to see muscle development wise. So popping into that right hip would just give her a little bit more engagement through the left one. We know we definitely don't want to see any kind of detail through the front of the thighs, so she isn't showcasing anything there either. We really want to see that tapered waist. Now, for me, in this fit model division, it's all about having not an overdeveloped glute, but a well-developed glute and a small waist. They don't really want to see anything through the shoulders. Do we want to see a nice top line? Most definitely, because then that adds more taper to the waist. But do we want to see overdeveloped delts and big round shoulder caps? Definitely not. So I would just have her sitting into that right hip. It's going to give more of a pop of the glute, and it's going to make the waist a little bit smaller as well.
And if we turn to the rear,
yes.
Get into the back pose.
As well, yeah. As she moves through those transitions, that she's really not sitting and holding them at all. But I do feel like she could execute them with a little bit more conviction. So at least it's finished off. And I do think this will evolve as we see more of the shows happening throughout the first part of the season. And I think initially the girls were doing a lot of guessing in the first show as well. Like, they were trying to figure out exactly what the judges want to see. In the rear pose, she's off. in the rear pose, we know that the judges do want to see overall balance between the glutes and the legs. So that means that they don't want any one area overdeveloped. Obviously, in the bikini division, we know that we do want to see slightly overdeveloped glutes compared to the quads and the hamstrings. But in this division, I think they want to see a lot more balance. We definitely don't want any separation between the hamstrings at all. And I don't even think they want that V-tip. Now, there was some other girls on stage that actually had fuller rounded glutes and they didn't have separation, but they didn't win. So they're definitely going for a much smaller frame and just not heaps of development. So we'll see what unfolds throughout the season.
Well, let's look at another girl. Now, this is Emily. I'm going to try and bring her up. Now, having spoke to one of the judges, they've told me that this was the closest one. Now, once again, this is another competitor. She's a mother of two.
Okay.
I know her fella he's a classic physique IPB Pro. Now, let me find the actual one I'm looking for. Here we go. So this is this isn't the professional one. This is just the one from the crowd.
Hmm.
So
For me personally,
are we seeing here now? Once again, this is now Emily taking second place in the category, the same one as Angie, second place herself. So she didn't make the overalls.
Okay.
Posing wise, obviously we can see maybe a slight difference in the front pose. What's your thoughts on her posing versus Angie?
So I actually prefer her level of pose, and I feel like she's just a little bit more accomplished. She's clearly got a little bit more experience. I prefer her transition. I actually really like this moment, and I think because the judges want them to move so quickly, I think this transition works really nicely. She obviously isn't given the front variation that the judges have required, and that's maybe why she didn't place first. Because for me, I actually feel like she fits the fit model criteria a little bit better, but I would be intrigued to know the judges' feedback, whether it was on that front pose and they really wanted to put someone in first place that was showcasing the front pose that they want to see, or whether she was maybe a little bit too developed. That would be the only thing I may say. Also in the rear pose, she brings her feet a lot closer together, which is again, it's not something that has been specified yet. So here, I think when someone zooms out, she brings her feet closer together. Oh, it's a transition. Sorry, that's my dog's going crazy.
When you say...
Sorry.
When you say overdeveloped, which area were you thinking?
Say that again, sorry.
Sorry, you say that maybe she did take first place because she was slightly more overdeveloped. So what areas are you seeing that could be overdeveloped for the fit model criteria?
Glutes and shoulders. She might just be a little bit too developed, especially because the Angie who won, who was a lot smaller in frame. So I'm wondering if this maybe went against her, or if it was simply just because the front pose wasn't what they had requested the girls to do in the criteria. When she hits the when she's in the front position here, I mean, she's got shoulder cap. When she brings her her left foot in for that transition here, she's got detail. Through the back, she's not as sharp. But I definitely think through the front, as I said, it would be interesting to hear the judges' feedback as to why, you know, they chose first and second as they did. But I would hazard a guess that it might be because of the front pose.
Yeah, for sure. And I know one of the judges did actually leave a comment on one of the posts I did in regards of feedback. Let me just bring up one other competitor. I'm going to try, hopefully I can find her. Oh God, what was her name? Let's try and remember to see if I can still see her. Now, this other competitor I'm looking for right now, she came first in the tall category. Where is it? What's her name? Oh, there we are. Kayleen. Spelled it completely wrong. Here we go. Okay, Kayleen Walker, Elf Science, head fit model coach for Team Flex. Let's bring this up. Here we go.
Oh, yeah, she did comment. Yeah.
So once again, this competitor, she was the only competitor in her height category. Now, this is from the angle, so don't get to see too much, but it's a bit of a different angle for what we've seen for the other two competitors.
Yeah.
Of course, winning the category, she did go to the overall. There were only 4 high classes. As we know, Angie took the win. But once again, we've seen maybe 3 different types of posing. What are you seeing from her?
She's really taken on board that Ashley Kay front pose. If anything, she's probably hitting it the best. And she's really twisting the hips. From what I can tell from this angle, she's really twisting the hips towards the right when she hits that front pose, which is really accentuating the taper of the waist. And it has been said that's what they really want to see without having any hard abs. So she's really given them the fit model look, I feel. So I think out of the three of them, for me, she's probably hitting that front pose the best. I would say as well, though, with the rear position, I do think the girls are going to have to be really careful when it comes to hitting that rear position and sending the glutes behind, because what's going to happen if the girls don't have as much muscle development as we would see in the bikini division, they're potentially going to flatten out their glutes. So it's like you said already at the beginning, we've got a very small number of females competing at the moment. So we're comparing something where we don't actually know exactly what the judges really want to see just yet.
Give me a breakdown on this bit, because the other two girls, we haven't seen them walk to the center. And I know we actually did a video the other day talking about the importance of the walk before you get to the center spot. So this one, we actually see a walk from the side to the center spot. Is there anything that you see that maybe she could have done better on the walk forward, or do you feel, you know what, she nailed it?
No, I think for me, it still needs work. I think the steps are too big. I think she's a little bit too relaxed. I really think when we're walking on, we've got to take our time. Granted, they've only got 10 seconds to really get through the posing, but you really want to step on stage with that feline feeling. It's the first time the judges are really going to see you move across the stage. So it's super important that, you know, we attack the walk like we would. She's walking off okay here. The glutes are somewhat lifted from what I can tell at this distance.
What about the eye contact here? Because you see her look down a few times.
Yeah, I can't see that closer. But we definitely want to be connecting with the judges for sure. And when you connect with the judges, it showcases confidence. So when you're looking down, obviously body language, eyes goes down. It makes you look a lot less confident. So connecting with the judges, I always advise people to look out to the audience as well. They're the people that are actually paying to watch you on stage. So connect with them. Use that as part of your stagecraft, your stage presence. Because when we do look at the other female divisions, and obviously especially the bikini division, the girls, they're connecting with the judges straight away. And I think that's what really separates someone from looking like an amateur to someone who is an experienced athlete.
Definitely. I think we also did see a video from the from Muscle Contest. This is a highlights reel of the fit model division, so we got to see a few more competitors. I know this is quite quick, so you may want to tell me to pause at any point.
Yeah.
But this gives us a better insight of more a range of competitors that we can see. This is obviously one that you did an overlay video talking about what we've seen so far from the fit model class.
Yeah, I just think it's a real mixed bag. And I do. Some of the girls, you can tell they've got a little bit more posing experience, but I definitely feel that there's a lot of refining to be done just from this first show, which is kind of to be expected. But at the same time, it is an NPC stage, so you kind of expect the best of the best. I feel like when walking on, we still want to have that element of what we would see in the bikini division, lifting through the lower back, lifting the glutes, midsection nice and tight, letting the shoulders move, having that model, that real feminine look when they're coming on. I do think there's going to be a slight difference in the transitions. Now we're starting to just see some of the girls going through it. And also I think in the rear position, I did see some of the girls crossing their feet over, which is something that used to happen in 2016, 15. But I'm not quite sure yet if that's something that's been clarified by the NPC and if they want to see the feet just outside of the hip position, or if they are happy for the girls to cross, and if they really do want to make it different to the bikini division. So we know what the front pose is, but I think still a little bit more clarification from the judges and the NPC would be amazing.
Definitely. I think one thing we also need to remember as well is that it was only 4 weeks ago they announced the fit model division. So it's not like you could prepare for the fit model pose wise, what they're looking for physique wise. You got a 4-week window before the first show. So having looked at all that, Emma, I'm keen to understand then maybe 3 posing takeaways that people who are watching this, who want to do fit model class, what are the 3 posing takeaways we should take back having seen the debut of the fit model division?
Yeah, I think make sure you are executing your front and your rear poses as good as possible, so you can really show the judges what they want to see. Be really clear and concise on your transitions, and then present yourself with confidence. Because if you look confident, then the judges, you know, if you do happen to mess up, they're not going to notice because they're going to be looking at your smiling face. In regard to the front pose, I really want to see the girls showcasing that really nice V taper, getting that waist as small as possible with a nice full round glute, and really seeing a nice top line as well. I think that's really important. And I just think through the rear position, making sure that we are not flattening the glutes at all, so not overarching through the lower back. And again, still show me a nice top line, because when we've got a nice straight top line, it showcases more taper through the waist.
And I guess on the flip side, something that you mentioned throughout the entire process was that as we see more shows hosting fit model division, we get a better clarity of what the judges are looking for. So I guess it's also another aspect for those who compete in fit model is to keep an eye out on all the shows, everything leading up to their show they're doing, in case there are some major changes. Where I know at the moment there's a big talk about there's no transitions, so you got a very short period. Would that be amended? What's the change can be made? That's what I'm interested to see how that evolves over the next few months before we hit the big shows where female pro cards are to be awarded.
Yeah, and I think that's obviously why no pro cards are going to be given out in the immediate future, because the division needs to grow and evolve. And I think if we just look back to when wellness started, it was a hot mess in the beginning. Like we didn't know what we were doing. And I think until even the judges find that 1, 2, 3 athletes that are really getting the pose and bang on, and it's exactly what they want to see, I think then we'll have a really clear idea of what the judges are looking for. But in the meantime, exactly what you said, we need to just keep watching. We need to see what the federation's putting out there, so we can be really clear. If any changes happen, we know, so we can get them locked in.
And I've asked about like 3 takeaways in regards to posing side. Was there maybe one common mistake that you maybe saw across the 3 girls that we just showed that is easily avoidable for those who are going to be doing the fit model class?
I think rushing the transitions. I know obviously it was stipulated beforehand that, you know, you're only going to get 10 seconds at that center point, but I think you can still finish off your transitions and execute them correctly, nicely, effortlessly, while still giving them the fit model flow that they want. So that would be one of the main things, because really the transitions are what pieces the whole routine together. We don't just want to step straight from that front pose, relax and step straight to the back. There's got to be an element of a transition. So whether it's a much smaller transition and we move through them a little bit quicker, just make sure you're practicing them so you can move through them quickly.
Definitely. I think one thing we haven't looked at as well, because the content's not available, is actually the comparison rounds where we are seeing all the girls lined up, which I know is one video I am chasing. I would love to try and get the video of the overalls of the 4 girls. I think that would really give a lot more detail, a lot more context, rather than being, you know, limited to the 10-second period to pose versus, of course, the comparison round. So I know that's going to be something we're going to try and get, so at least you guys can actually see what the judges are looking for when it comes to the comparison round. But as I mentioned, we know we've got a few-week break now before the next fit model class, which is going to be the muscle contest in Japan. We still got a few of the shows lined up, of course. You know, FIBA back in April, and the first European fit model pro card is awarded in the UK, which I believe is at the start of April. So lots going to be happening. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next on the fit model side.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Me too. I'm excited for it to unfold. Amazing.
Yeah. So look, we're going to try and do more of this, guys. We're going to try to get more content like this out on the fit model side, and also other divisions. Sorry, that's my dog trying to knock my laptop there. We are going to try and get more content out of the fit model division, because at the moment we know there's a lack of content or education out there. So what I would recommend is, of course, reach out to Emma. That should be rule 1 that's your first instance, contact Emma, just like the content we're putting out at the moment. But also, guys, well, we'll ask you as well. Please do drop me a DM and ask me. Let me know what type of posing content are you looking for. Drop me some questions so we can tailor the content specifically for what you're looking for. Doesn't just need to be fit model. It could be any category. But right now, fit model is the word of the street. That's what everyone's talking about. I'm going to try and get plenty more content for you guys very soon for the fit model division. Emma, we'll wrap up there. We'll be back for episode 2 next week.